Happy
Happy
Monday, guys.
Monday. Happy Motivational Monday. Happy Mindset Monday. Happy Monday Rundown.
Yeah, absolutely. And happy Halloween to everybody who's going to be celebrating tomorrow. Or if you did it today,
True.
you're doing it today. If you did it today.
And
It's
I
8
know
a.m. in the morning, Winston. What are you
several
talking about?
people several people also celebrated the Day of the Dead over the weekend as well. So
Oh, nice. Well done.
for those people who did that, I hope
Dia
you
de la Muerte.
exactly
Yeah,
Dia de los Muertos. I hope it was great that you were able to remember your loved ones who have already passed.
absolutely.
So now that we've acknowledged all the different things, welcome to the Monday Rundown. If this is the first time that you're with us, we're happy to have you with us. This is the day where Winston and I get to talk about all the things that like we love talking about, but typically talk about it off screen. So today's topic is hot and feisty
Yeah, facts,
because this
facts.
is like the thing that everyone's talking about on social media. So let's get right to today's topic. Should you make a list when it comes to relationships? Should you?
Inquiring minds.
um, and so what I think what is important to acknowledge is what brought up this question and
Yeah,
the trend. So should we just talk about it? Let's just bring it up right
let's
away.
jump to it. Yeah. So,
All right.
guys, many of you have probably seen this list. I know on social media making rounds. And here says, here's a list of places women absolutely refuse to go on for first dates. And thank you to the ladies who reached out to me to help me on my list. So there was obviously a poll taken. That were you on this poll, Janelle? I'd like to
No,
know.
and
Okay.
I'm just gonna put this out there. I think somebody totally made this up just to create craziness on the internet.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say
yeah.
that also. But no, I was not polled. I was not polled because if I was polled, a
A
lot of
lot of these
this
places
list
wouldn't be
wouldn't
on
have been
there.
on the list.
Very good, very good.
So for those of you who are trying to look a little bit closer, number one is Cheesecake Factory, two, Applebee's, Chili's, Chipotle, Olive Garden, the movies, your house, any fast food chain, Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop, Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop, Red Lobster, Buffet, IHOP, Denny's, the gym, church, Starbucks, coffee dates, ice cream dates, family functions, movie night. That includes anything like Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, etc. Somewhere that requires a long drive or bowling. The list is quite extensive. So I just want to first say
Go ahead.
that like it really, I think a first date is all about trying to talk to someone and create connection and see like what you have in common and if you guys, get along. And as long as it's a place where you feel like that can happen, then that makes sense. I will say the movies is a hard place to have conversation. So I probably wouldn't list the movies as a place to go to on a first date. That's probably the
Mhm.
one that I would like agree with. Any of the others, to be honest, it could happen. And then everything else is just preference. Like some people just don't like Cheesecake Factory. I just personally don't like Cheesecake Factory. That doesn't mean like don't ever take me there. Like, yeah, I've been to
See,
Cheesecake
but
Factory. Like,
so here's the thing. I love the question, and the thing that's interesting is, as I'm reading this, I thought what you were saying just now, Janelle, this
mm,
could just be as simple as a preference with people, but to sit down and to run down a list of obvious places that people like to put Chipotle as a place that you would take someone on a date seems
mhm.
silly to me. Because to Janelle's point, even if it's not about necessarily being quiet and you getting to speak to the person, Chipotle is where you go for lunch on a break or something. The idea that you would take a person there on a date doesn't really make much sense. You know what I mean? If you're going out to grab something to eat to then go home. But when it got into some of these other places where it started talking about the gym, it made me wonder what would you guys be doing there in terms of, I get it's an activity, but I don't necessarily know how you get to know someone. But here's the funny thing: when I started to look at this list, guys, it really made me think of how biased people tend to be in life. Because anything on this list could be someone's everything, depending on who they're there with. And that's what ultimately, when I finished reading this, that I took away from it. I was like, I guarantee you there's somebody that's reading this and they were like, I met my soulmate at
Yes.
this place. Or maybe
Exactly.
didn't meet them there because that's not the day. They were like, yo, We met up and our first thing was at this. I personally can tell you there's the gym spot on it was something I was like, oh wow, that's actually a great place for me to get to know a ton of things about you that I wouldn't get to know if I sat across you at some fancy restaurant, to be honest with you.
Right.
Because it really we kind of show up as a from some women maybe they're made up differently when they show up on a date as opposed to maybe the gym, just different things where it's like if you're thinking long term for somebody, you want to see people in some of these settings. You know what I mean? So I thought the list
So,
as
okay.
a whole
So I
interesting.
think this list, we both agree, is a bit ridiculous. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna put it out
to some degree for sure.
there. Yeah. I think though, to answer the question about lists in general, I don't think lists are necessarily bad. I know there are many people who subscribe to, writing to God and making a list of the different
That's
attributes
true.
you
Yep.
want
Yep.
your partner to have. So I don't think that that's necessarily bad. I think it helps to become crystal clear. And just also, I would like to say that when you make that list, I've also heard, which I think is really good advice. Once you make that list with the attributes that you're looking for, then actually work on obtaining those same attributes yourself. So I
With
was like, oh
yourself, so you
man,
can attract it. Yeah. Great
yeah,
point.
I was like, I love
Great
that.
point.
So I don't think necessarily
Ooh,
lists
I want to say something, but
are all bad. I guess the question is like, if somebody doesn't have all the things on the list, does it become a
that's where you can.
problem?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I
You
don't
don't
know.
want
I
to be
think the
a
jury's still
list
out on that.
Nazi or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea, like in anything in life, you do want to have some sense of what you are looking for. And I would equate it to like a recipe. You know, in order to have a recipe missing one ingredient can, for some people, be like the worst thing ever. And to Janelle's point, maybe you can miss a few ingredients from something and it still tastes amazing. But if you don't even have a list, you don't even know what you're looking to make. You know what I mean? So the whole thing can be completely off. So I definitely think you do want to have a list. But you've heard enough from Janelle and Josiah. Let's take a look at some other content that we've actually been blessed to be introduced to. What was the name of the company, Janelle? Sorry.
The School of
The
Life.
School of Life. Thank you. And let's hear what they have to say on.
It's often said that no one can ever really say what a good relationship is, let alone draw up a checklist for a prospective one. We politely disagree. 1. Pick someone you feel profoundly grateful ever decided to look your way. Start from a sense that you are the lucky one and that they are superior. The truth in this matter is irrelevant. 2. Make sure you fancy them. Check out that you have compatible areas of perversion and little interest being normal in bed. 3. Allow yourselves both to admit from an early stage that you are mad, heavily distorted by your pasts, unable to understand yourselves, prone to irrational assumptions, and unsteady in your assessments of reality. 4. Make apology the most regular of occurrences. Say sorry about everything all the time, and reduce the price of an admission to almost zero. 5. Remove all pride from your character. You were an idiot then, you are an idiot now, you will be an idiot tomorrow. There is simply no other option for a human being. Make jokes. 6. Regularly explore how you've disappointed one another. Let them sometimes hate you and you them. Don't be frightened by anger moderately expressed. The enemy of love is stifled emotion, not maturely explored authenticity. Listen very carefully when they tell you how they feel. 7. Never describe them categorically as this or that insulting trait. Only ever say, I feel you are this or that. Observe the difference. 8. Get good at sensing the fear beneath your angry moods. Then express the fear gently rather than acting out the anger. 9. Reduce expectations of perfection. It's going to be horrible at times. Allow for major frustrations. You will want to kill them, and they you. Don't. 10. Accept you will have crushes on others. Let these crushes wash over you, and if the mood is right, share them gently with your partner. 11. If there are children, recognize that love will suffer hugely. Look forward to properly picking up the baton again in about 15 years. 12. Become the sort of person who has no embarrassment about being needy. Accept the child in you and look after their needs in the relationship. 13. Read up about attachment theory and keep the concepts close at hand at all times. 14. Stop being defensive. Stop needing to maintain a proud hold on your own dignity. Laugh continually at your foolishness and apologize for it. 15. Accept that they can't save you from your own disturbances. Try to be happy in yourself, and if you are not, don't redirect the blame. Observe how often your rocky patches are really projected versions of your own life crises. Get a therapist. 16. Don't expect everything from love. 17. Be very prepared, though reluctant, to leave. Remain always out of choice, never desperation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, I have to tell you, that was amazing. That was amazing. They
That
had me
was
hooked. They had me hooked from number three.
number one for me. I was like, oh,
Oh yeah, they literally had me hooked from number three. I was like, this is a, because I gotta be honest with you guys. I was a little skeptical because of the length of it, but I love that. And if tell me if you got the same kind of feel, Janelle. This was more about yourself than about a list of 6 foot tall, this complexion, this race, four languages. Like it had nothing to do with that. It was literally about what you said at the earlier original, preparing yourself for what you were looking for.
yeah.
You getting yourself right, and you will have a partner. Because the stuff they're talking about is real life stuff. Sometimes you won't like this person, but you can still express to them that you love them. You know what I mean?
I want to be
Great
vulnerable
list.
and talk about number one for me.
Go for it.
Um,
What was number one again?
Number one is like feel lucky that
Oh
they,
yeah, yeah,
yeah. Which also leads to either number two or number three, which was like make sure that you like have a perversion towards each other. So that like to me, that's like you're like attracted to each other on a certain level. Cause
yeah.
that way you'll do like kinky things in bed, I think is what they said. um the reason why that hit hard for me is because I've been in several relationships where didn't necessarily feel like I was the lucky one. I felt like they were the lucky one, but not necessarily that I was the lucky one. I felt more like I was settling, and also which
Mm-hmm.
led to there not being a perversion like intimately. So I was like, man,
Mm-hmm.
that is something that like hit hard for me. Um I for
Is
those
that
of
you
you,
about you jumping into relationships before knowing you don't have that feeling?
yeah, knowing I don't have that.
Mm. Ooh, sorry, I had cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh no. So many who know me personally know that I love listening to the advice of Alison Armstrong. She is a relationship guru. She's been studying men for over 30 years, and for that reason has been studying women then for over 30 years, and has really gotten a great sense as to like how to make men and women have relationship in a healthy and productive way. And one of the things that she says to women is that like if you're like super attracted to the guy, it's not going to work because you're so attracted to him that you're going to try and do everything you can to please him. So and it creates too much anxiety. So you want a guy that's like not the most that you're not the most she's like not that you're not attracted at all, but not that you're like, oh my god, he's gorgeous. And I think I've subscribed to that thought, but I think I do it too much. And I'm just thinking like, I need to, if that's like that was number one or within the top three of the list that they mentioned, I seriously need to think about how that's played out in my life and maybe why. So something to consider.
No, for sure. And I think in most instances, I would say we see relationships as one way or another, meaning depending on how we view it, you would believe one person in the relationship typically likes someone more. But I like I think even just the fact that this was explained to me as something that you should look for, you can have it where both people feel like, yo, I'm the lucky one right now, depending
Yeah,
on again, what
exactly.
you're looking for.
Yeah.
Because there are aspects, again, if you really are, it's so surprising to hear that you didn't find the other person as, yeah. I mean, I know I've been in what am I saying? I've been in relationships where I've not thought that, so that's not surprising. But yeah, I think you can definitely find yourself in a place with somebody where you're like, man, I'm really so grateful for what I have. You know, what's so weird though. If you don't practice gratitude as a whole, no, that's a general statement. Forget what I was going to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's
I
not
mean, so
gratitude.
if you're not aware of gratitude, then maybe you're missing it. But that doesn't have to be the case
Yeah,
at all.
yeah, yeah.
So, guys, please throw it in the
Yeah,
comments.
let us know. What
Yeah, for
1
sure.
through 17, what's the thing that stood out for you? 17 also is a big one for me. Like, don't be in a relationship out of desperation. Always be ready to leave. And
Yeah, yeah,
um that's not saying like you should always have one foot out the door. That's not it. It's just having the ability, I think, to know in your mind that like if something crazy happens, I really don't have to stick this out. That was me in my marriage. I thought I had to stick it out when crazy things were happening. I mean,
and
like
oh
emotional abuse. Let me be very
no,
clear.
no, no, no. Yeah, I think that's such a key point though, because a
Yeah.
lot of people, one, I know people get into things, they're like, I'm gonna make this work. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a great energy to have. That is a great energy to have. And there may be things that you learn that over time, hey, I had the best intention, which is great, because you're gonna take that self with you into the next relationship.
Mhm.
But if there's just certain things that for you, like if you recognize there's certain maybe triggers, there's a thing I was watching. This woman was explaining that she has, just maybe a poor example, but she has Tourette's, and she was like there's certain things that set her Tourette's off, but she likes these things so much she's willing to put up with that, even
Mm,
though she knows it's going to set her Tourette's off. And for many of us, there's certain things you're willing to put up with in a relationship, and then for others, I think there's certain things where you got to say, you know what, this is my thing that is not. I'm not going to want to be settling or being so unhappy just to
mhm.
make a relationship work.
Right.
You're denying yourself a person that thing won't be such a big deal. Maybe they have other areas that you're like, oh,
Right.
I'm not a huge fan of this, but the thing that really sets me off, don't keep subjecting yourself to that.
Yeah.
There's no need. And I believe in soulmates and things like that as well, but and then we can go down the rabbit hole of this. So
Look, guys, please, if you liked today's show, please subscribe, like, and comment because the more you do that, the more it will come back. The algorithm will feed itself and you'll
say
see more
that.
of our stuff. It'll also tell us that this is the stuff that you love to talk about. And we love to talk about it, obviously. So we will do more of that, knowing that you like and subscribed. So
Absolutely.
next week will be a whole other topic. But until then, always remember you deserve the good life. Say
Say
that.
that. We'll see you guys. Have